As you can see in the image of the unfinished statue, we started out not working front as would be expected, kind of looking at going in where the nose is and the facial features, but we have the grid pattern here still visible, and all we did was worked our way from side to side, taking away only what was not going to be used. Okay, and as you can see here, just a brief outline of where the arm is. I did it on this side just to kind of see what I could do. Working with clay is a little bit different than working with stone. Don't have a lot of sharp pieces to kind of outline where things should be. But what I have done is now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be looking at the drawing here, so working with the side and seeing that the arm, so kind of like in the image that we saw before, the arms are a little bit further away from the torso. So we will be removing one square in towards the arms. So essentially looking at where the squares are, so we know we need at least 2 squares of space for the arm. And then once we remove it from this side, we are also going to then remove the exact same thing from the other side to reveal the outline of the arms. And then we're going to move towards the legs as well. So here we're looking at the left side. This is where the left foot is kind of going to be sticking out. Our base is here, and we have worked essentially removing all of wherever you see all of the X's, with space still for a removal of this right there. The next thing that is required to do is to begin shaping. We're still following the lines now that we have the basic outline and the basic proportion of the figure captured. Using the grid method, we were able to precisely pinpoint the proportionality of the figure in terms of the torso area. Now, of course, we are still going to be removing parts of it, because as you can see, there are still areas that need to be improved, but this becomes chiseling, simple chiseling out, and of course the most critical component or the critical aspect of this entire thing is the head. So now, using this grid method, I will be able to begin to shape and look at where the ears and the nose is, relatively speaking. Now again, I'm not going to be revealing the nose, but I do want to kind of look at the geometric approach of pinpointing where the eyes are, where the mouth is, and then of course working on slimming down this portion first before moving down, as if this were standing upright, we would be expecting the weight to be removed from the top down. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this was somewhat educational, but based on this preliminary carving, and again, I'm not a sculptor at all, have never sculpted anything in my life, so looking at it from just simply following a guideline from the beginning to end, it is quite doable for somebody with minimal experience or no experience at all in carving in stone, to simply chip away at the blocks and removing portions, identifying portions in the grid that do not require any kind of shaping or detailing, but just simply brute force removal. It is possible. And then of course, when we get to this point, which is this part, is where I believe that a little bit more skill would have been required for the shaping component of it. But once again, we do begin to see that once you retain this level, you can already start to see the details of the figure itself, and it is easier to work with shaping different component and different parts of the statue. All right, we'll pick up again next time. Till then, thanks for watching. See you in the next episode. All right, welcome back to the next episode. Here we see the statue has been shaped using the grid. Here we see the right side of the statue roughly shaped out, and on this side we will see the left side of the statue with the front left foot sticking out. Now, as you can see, the process has been rather interesting. Now notice the back of the statue is pretty much flat and untouched, whereas the side of the statue, including the head here, the part of the torso, is clearly visible and shaped out. So I mean, right now my carving prowess, I would say, is definitely lacking, and I am rather reluctant to approach this with the detailing work. But I think that the part of the canon of Egyptian sculpting, which definitely is completely different from the Greek one, and that the Greek version of the Kouros would feature a clay model first, which would have allowed the sculptor to do what I'm about to do, which is to kind of shape the figure into whatever the person would feel like. I do feel that the Egyptians still employed a form of grid pattern even at this stage of the carving, and the image that I provide as a reference kind of proves that all the way up until the detailing of the face, there's still a geometric pattern that must have been employed. Yet at this particular juncture of the sculpting process, I am still very much thinking that if the proportionality or some of the guidelines still remained, it allowed, and I think Jeremy kind of pointed out in today's presentation, which again, March 21st, are those lines or a guideline that kind of would allow the sculptor to still see whereabouts in proportion they are and how much more of the rock they can chip away, before going at the finer details. So today I'm going to do that. All right, so as we can see, we are starting here at the top of the shoulder. So there's our shoulder, that is where we are. And then we know that the first kind of square up is where the chin is going to start. So using a more kind of sophisticated darker pen, I'm just going to measure out that particular line. So that is the chin line here, okay, followed by one more up, which is going to be the nose line, and then the eyebrow line up top here, okay. All right, so as you guys can see, we started to slowly carve out the details of the face. And again, doesn't quite look like much. I'll clear some of this away. But as you can see, the deeper we start going, the more that this particular statue does start to take shape. But as you can see, I'm still using the grid pattern, working with horizontal lines, and slowly piecing away at where the nose is going to be, the bottom of the chin, and then slowly removing that. So once I have that face worked out, we will then be able to continue on down to the arms and the torso.